The following podcast is presented by Hormone Logics. Discover your ageless health.
And now, part 2 of the Ascension Mentality podcast.
We are back with the second half of our Melissa Busta podcast, and she was talking about her coach. So we're going to let you kind of continue that conversation.
Yeah, you had been asking about, what we had to do to kind of dial it in a little bit more going on to my next show. And I was saying a lot more cardio, just getting that heart rate up higher. So it wasn't like hours and hours grueling. And then we dialed in the nutrition a little bit more, the sodium intake and the water and maybe cutting carbs. It was like a daily check-in of like, what are you looking like? How does your body react to these carbs versus lower fats?
Did you end up increasing the water or decreasing the water?
So there's a fine line to walk before you get on stage of like sodium loading a little bit more.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then right before you get on stage, like none at all and no water either. So it's a delicate.
You're thirsty.
Oh man.
You're very thirsty.
Yeah. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
But I remember one time I was even texting him, like he asked, how are you doing this morning? And I'm like, this is hard. And he said, you can't even complain. There are girls that are doing like 4 hours of cardio.
And they're like 700 calories.
Yeah, 900 calories. And you're up at like 18,
right.
1900.
Well, that's kind of what I was
You're good.
thinking you were going to say when you say, hey, we've got a month to cut. I'm like, all right, how bad was it?
Yeah,
I've
not
heard-
that bad for
No,
me.
not
Not
that
quite yet. Not quite yet. Yeah, but I've heard the more you diet, the harder it is. Your body's like, oh, I know what you're
holds
doing
on
to
the
me.
fat.
Yeah. So this time my body just had like a revved up metabolism. It was my first time going through, so it wasn't so bad for it. But I was like blaming my diet because I'm vegan. I can do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are the plans for next time? When are you going to get back on and do the pro stages?
Yeah. It'll be next year for sure. We have
Yeah.
a lot of building on the lower body to do.
Yeah.
And when I say for sure, I'm not even, we don't
No
have
shows. Yeah.
yeah, nothing set yet. I'm kind of getting into that strongman competition or maybe a little bit of powerlifting.
Okay, cool. So you might just do that for a while.
Yeah, I haven't told my coach that yet.
I mean,
so-
you have a card. You can wait. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
Right?
it just,
that doesn't go away.
that powerlifting though, it like builds your midsection. Those CrossFit
Yeah,
girls
your
are like
core.
built. Yeah, and the bikini coach is not going to like that. So we might we'll have a talk about that when we step on stage. But yeah,
I mean, you could always convert to wellness, right? Get a little bit more lower.
those girls are impressive. Yeah.
I mean, they even look so much different, like in person, in front of you on the stage than the photos. Like in person, you're like, holy shit.
And how would that work? So if I'm a bikini pro, do I
Yeah.
start all over not being a pro in wellness
I think
division?
so.
I believe so.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, challenging.
Well, that's what I think I like about
Yeah,
all of that.
right.
And that's why I'm kind of like popping between sports. Like, this is so much fun. Just go see what your body can do, you know?
Yeah,
And
push it
all
to
the
the limit.
communities are different and fun in different ways.
So tell me what encouraged you to do the powerlifting thing. You're like, I'm off season. I'll just get on. Like, why?
Yeah, like some people are like hitting mini golf, right? Or like fishing, and you're like out there powerlifting.
Yeah. Somebody told me, so you might look strong up on stage, but you're not really. And it's kind of true, right?
The shit
so
talkers.
Yeah. I've had
and
one
I'm
of
like,
those.
okay,
Mhm.
okay, let's see what we can do.
Right.
Yeah, no, and I've won first place in the only 2 shows that I've done so far. I qualified for nationals, so now I can go on to nationals. It's June
Whoa.
2023.
So like how many people were competing?
So it depends on which one you're going to. So in nationals, there's going to be, it depends on who shows up that day. And just like in bodybuilding,
Right.
you have no idea.
I'm talking
Like,
about the
you
shows
can
you
have-
did. So you came in
Oh.
first in those 2 competitions.
Yeah, we have, there was 50 people total. I helped my coach set them all up. So the morning of, you're like unloading all these weights. And I'm like, wait, I have to compete today. Like, what are we doing?
No, you're like, why am I carrying them all?
Yeah. The majority is always men. So like strongman always brings all the men out. And I want to say there was probably like 85% men. The first one we had about 7 girls, and this one we had a little bit less. So I think there was like No, this one was 7 girls. The one before had to have been like 12 girls or something that are competing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm kind of trying to be like, come on, girls, we're strong. Let's get you out
Do you
there.
ever like scope them out and you're like, I know I'm stronger than you, and you, I know I'm stronger than you too. Is that like
I
a
feel
mental
like
thing?
strongman's harder to tell.
No, yeah, you can't tell.
You can't tell.
Mm-mm. There will be like the tiniest little scrawny girl come in and kill it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, where maybe like backstage of a bikini competition, you could be like, oh, she's not in quite conditioned form yet, you know?
Right, right,
But she might be able to pose incredible and then tear it up,
Stage
you know?
presence may be awesome.
I'm just always curious about that mentality, right? Of like, you're going into this show, you're kind of the new kid on the block. And, you know, I don't know if these other women have done this before, but you're kind of like, you know, you just got done helping your coach unload the stuff and now you're trying to compete. Like, what is going through your mind as you're like getting ready to do this huge lift?
Honestly,
Just the
what
shit
the
talker?
hell did I get myself into? Like every time, even about to step on stage as a bikini pro, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why did I ever think I can do this? What am I doing up here? You know, I barely know how to walk in heels. Like, what am I getting myself into? Every time I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm looking at this car that I'm about to have to deadlift. Like, what are you doing with your life, Melissa? Like, what is happening right now? So, yeah, I just say, go for it. Just go for it. Get a good coach and just see what happens. And then in the end, I think it's really important to be proud no matter what you accomplish. You don't have to get your pro card. You don't have to win the first. You just
be happy that you did it.
Or you
committed.
even tried.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. So many people are just afraid to even sign up. But if you don't have like that deadline, then you're not going to give it, in my experience, I should say, you're not going to give it what you would have.
Right. I mean, I was just talking to somebody, I do mentality coaching, and I had a client, she's talking about off season. She's like, I don't know, I'm just like not feeling it. I'm like, then pick a show and put it on your calendar. Who cares if you like actually do that show? You're not like signing up for it right now. Pick a show, put it on your calendar. And she's like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And even if she does show up that day, you know, like you said, you kind of size people up. Yeah, you can go in there and you're like looking at people like, oh, am I going to be able to beat her? Am I going to be able? But in the end of the day, you're just like, thanks for like showing up. I mean, like, thanks for coming out and having this, somebody to compete